Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about something really interesting that many of you might already be familiar with. Anyway, we're talking about the forced reset trigger system. And I am actually trying to explain it, how it works technically. And also I will try to talk about the legality, but keep in mind I'm an expert only for German gun laws. So how it is handled in the US, I don't know. I mean, I think there's tons of other experts that can explain this to you. So if you want to Google it, I'm sure you will find explanations. Anyway, what is the forced reset trigger system? It's actually, I think, a way how to potentially, turn a semi-automatic firearm into an fully automatic firearm without legally turning it into one. So from the point of view of a shooter, it feels like full auto, but legally it's supposed to be semi-auto only. So what it does actually, normally when you shoot semi-auto, what you do is you have two stages. You have to pull the trigger, and then you have to stretch the finger, and then you have to pull the finger again to shoot another time. Now what the forced reset trigger system does for you is it stretches your finger by forcing the trigger to the front. So you don't have to stretch your finger. All you have to do is you have to keep applying muscle tension to the trigger finger, and then it automatically stretches it, and then it snaps right back like spring-loaded. Your muscle is the spring if you want. But technically, of course, you still have to pull the trigger. It's still there. It's just more comfortable and easier, and you don't have to think about it. That is the difference between full auto and forced reset trigger systems. But how does it work? Well, we have to go and explain full auto and semi-auto first, and then we're going to talk about the forced reset trigger system. In order to explain what forced reset trigger is, I built this little demonstrator here. I'm going to convert it later on, and this actually explains full auto, semi-auto, and forced reset trigger. So we begin with the full auto system. So as you see, the hammer is already cocked back, and I can shoot. And of course, this is how you cock back the hammer. Now, if you do this, if you shoot and you keep the trigger pressed, then the recoil or the gas system, depending on what kind of automatic firearm it is, will push the hammer back. And since there's nothing to catch it, at the end of the motion, it will succumb to the force of the trigger spring, in this case these rubber bands, and the system will shoot as long as I keep the trigger pressed. Now, if I release the trigger, then automatically the hammer will be caught, and the system will start over again, right? See? So it automatically catches it, and then it's ready for shooting again. Very, very simple and effective system. And now let's go semi-auto. It's getting more complicated. So now we have converted the system to semi-automatic. And what you see is that we have a new part, this part here. And this part here is actually spring-loaded. Not sure if you can see this well. So there is a spring underneath, and this is spring-loaded now. So if I now simply cock back the hammer, then the thing functions just as normal. It shoots. But now, when the recoil or the gas from the gas system presses this back, this sear engages. Even though I have pressed the trigger, the hammer cannot go to the front. And if I release it, it automatically catches in the sear here. So this means that I cannot fire full automatic. This is single action only. So again, I shoot, recoil and gas presses this back, it engages. If I release the trigger, then the hammer is still caught. This is exactly how a semi-auto system works. And as you can see, a semi-automatic system is more complicated than a full automatic system. Makes sense, right? Okay, so now I have converted our little sample system to forced reset. I have to say this is a very, very simplified version of one possible forced reset method. In fact, this is not something that you would do in a real firearm. Normally this is done by the entire bolt system, typically, and not just here. So this is just only to explain the principle to you. So this is not for real, this is just a demonstration object. So this still works like normal. If I cock back the hammer, the sear engages and I can shoot, just as normal. But if I keep it pressed and apply muscle force to the trigger, then look what happens. It comes back, of course pushed back by either the recoil or by the gas, if this is a gas-operated automatic weapon. Then it presses it here, and then see, this is just using it and pushing it to the front. So it's forcing the trigger to engage again. And all I have to do is keep the muzzle pressure applied, so that automatically I don't have to stretch out my finger anymore. I just have to apply the pressure continuously, and then the system will shoot almost like it would shoot in full auto. So is this legally full auto? Well, this really depends on how you define it. I believe that in the German legal system it would not be considered full auto, because all it takes you, what it makes you do is you don't have to stretch the finger, but you still have to pull the trigger basically. And this is much easier now, but it's still an independent pulling operation. Therefore, I believe that, at least after in the German law, this would not be considered full auto, even though it would come really, really close to it. But then again, of course, the German government would very, very quickly ban it should someone bring a product like this to the market. I'm absolutely sure, because the effect is the same and they don't want the effect. They don't care how it's done. Anyway, I hope that you like this, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye.